The Story of Josanna. By Eric Hua. Chapter 4, Path of the Exiled. The next day had arrived and Josanna was still sound asleep, but not for long. A couple of guards came into the room and shook her awake. Before she could even ask them what was happening, they took her by both arms and forced her out. She kept squirming to break free, but the guards had a tight hold. It also didn't take long before the guards had arrived at the location they were told, and they threw Josanna onto the ground. Josanna picked herself up and was about to yell at the guards for their harsh treatment, but as she turned to look up, she saw the town crowd gathered around her.
People of Haven, I give you our brave new champion, Josanna.
The villagers were cheering while Josanna was still filled with confusion. As she continued to be confused, a couple of guards threw armor on her and gave her a bunch of random weapons. Most of the armor was way too big and heavy for her, so she quickly grabbed the much lighter cloth armor. As for weapons, she grabbed a mix of items, a dagger tucked away in her boot, a light sword, and a bow along with a quiver of arrows. When she had her equipment mostly sorted out, Chieftain Saul made his way towards her and held out his hands. He announced to everyone that Josanna was ready to go out beyond the village to rid the forest of the mysterious creatures that were terrorizing the people of Haven. The crowd roared and cheered, giving Josanna a chance to speak with the chieftain.
What game are you playing?
What do you mean? Can't you see I'm giving you what you want?
You wouldn't be doing this without some benefit coming towards you.
How could you think so negatively towards me? I made you the champion of Haven. And a champion doesn't need the help of other recruits. Do they?
Slowly Josanna began to put it all together. Not only was Saul going to send her out alone, but even if she failed, it would discourage everyone else from ever considering venturing outside the village. For if the great champion of Haven fell, who else could handle such atrocity? As the cheers began to fade, the guards escorted Josanna to the gate. Once they had arrived, the guards moved aside and allowed her to step outside the village. The moment her entire body left the boundary of the village, the guards shut the gate and she was left alone with only one path to take. She laughed to herself, thinking that although she was celebrated as a warrior, it was all smoke and mirrors to cover the fact she was exiled from Haven. She was about to head out in the wilderness alone, but on the other side of the gate, the guard that spoke with Josanna back in the isolated room held a hamster in his hand. It was the same hamster that Josanna spoke to while she was detained. He held the hamster a bit closer.
Please, watch over Josanna and keep her safe.
Then he released it under the gate. Josanna looked below the gate and saw the little hamster scurry towards her. She picked it up in her hands.
Guess I just can't lose you,
She figured it needed a name, so she put in about 5 seconds of effort and came up with an idea.
Hammer!
She placed him on her shoulder and together, they embarked on a new path. The path of the exiled.